As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Good morning, everyone on YouTube this morning. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Go get your coffee. We're going to sit here and chat just a little bit. Good morning, all. Good morning, all. I hope everyone is doing well this morning. We've got a lot of stuff to go over. And we're going to be discussing a little bit about JonBenét Ramsey. There's a lot of stuff going off on the internet related to her in the last, 24 hours. And so we're going to take a deep dive into the case, talk about it, see what you guys think about it. Can we learn something from the JonBenét Ramsey case and apply it to the Summer Wells case? Let's find out. Let's find out. Everybody, go get your coffee. I know somebody was asking, do they have time to get coffee? You do. You do. It is a wonderful day in the state of Florida. It looks absolutely beautiful outside. I have not gone outside to check. I am bumming it this morning. I've got to be honest with you. I'm bumming it this morning. I've got my aunt coming over, so this is going to be a short live. I spoke yesterday about, how I've been just traveling and going everywhere under the sun and haven't really, taken the time out, the much needed time out to let my family and friends know that I care for them. Everybody in my life is complaining about how I'm not around and they're getting bummed because when I am home, I'm always working and do not have time for basically anybody. I don't have time for anybody, which is sad. It's nothing personal to them. It's just I'm a workaholic. I work from sun up to sundown. And when I'm not doing stuff for my community, I am doing stuff on YouTube. So it just doesn't leave a whole lot of personal time. And sometimes we've just got to make the time, right? So I had an opportunity to go over and hang out with my bestie yesterday. You know, she was a little bummed out. She's been having a lot of people, you know, her circle's getting smaller and smaller. People are passing away. You know, she lost her husband a couple years ago. And since then, in the last, you know, couple months, she's lost two of his very dear friends. And, you know, it's just that those are the people that were around when she, you know, lost her husband. So they were, and prior to, so she was just really bummed, but we had an amazing day yesterday. We got to hang out by the pool. We got some Florida sun. We even went out and got some tacos. So we just had a very great day. It was a beautiful day. She has an amazing house and pool. And we were just able to reconnect and hang out by the pool and just, you know, get to chat. So it was a lovely day. Good morning, Connie. Gigi for life. Betsy, nice to see you. Ronnie, good morning. I'm glad you're here, dear. We need to go over Jimmy D's. I haven't had an opportunity to discuss them. Med Gas Guy, nice to see you. Samantha, Bullhorn Betty, present. Tammy, Gramsy Life, I've got to call you too. Boy, I'm just getting behind in everything, aren't I? Miss Robin, nice to see you, girl. I hope everything is going well for you. These YouTube streets are getting tougher and tougher these days, right? People are just nasty out there. And we're going to be discussing, you know, my letter. I still haven't been able to overcome the ad suitability for Todd Colehep. So we're going to run it again today. I've got 2 out there for him, and we'll see how that goes. Good morning, Betty, Patricia. Karen, nice to see you. Oh, Stephanie, nice to see you. I hope everything's doing well. Harley's World, nice to see you as well. Marie Davis, Nancy B, Days, nice to see you in here this morning. Northern Light, oh, welcome, Northern Light. I'm glad to see you poking your head around. It's nice to see you, dear. Nice to see you. So, yes, thank you, Gramsy Live. Thank you. I love you. I love you all. It's so great to see you guys here this Tuesday morning. You know, tomorrow's going to be the last morning you guys see me for a little minute, right? I'm leaving town again. Which is, I mean, my aunt called me yesterday. If she watched my live, she would have known I was out with my bestie, but apparently she didn't watch it until probably later. I know she watches me quite often. And so she calls me on the phone and she's like, hey, how are you? I'm like, I'm doing great. She's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm out with Laura. I said, we're heading to get tacos. And she's like, oh, well, I won't keep you. I'm like, oh, Aunt Angela, if you want to hang out with me, come over tomorrow, right? Come over tomorrow. And she's like, oh, great. You know, she's so happy. So I didn't realize I do have a meeting. We have the Council of Government tonight or this afternoon around 4 that I'm present. I go to those meetings to have my voice heard on a county level. And so I had to call her back and I'm like, please get here as soon as you can in the morning because I've got to cut off, you know, which I really have to cut off at 2 because I got to get the shower, you know, get dressed, and I got to be out the door by 3. So long story short, I get to spend some time, much needed time with my aunt, and it's going to be a great time. I already feel it. It's going to be a nice time with my aunt, and where I've got to, I don't know if we're hanging out here or if we're going out. I have no idea. I guess it's just going to be up for interpretation when she gets here, right? Guys, go out there. We have 117 people in this chat right now. Go out there and give me a thumbs up if you would. Like this video. It really does help push this channel forward, whether you're a silent supporter or a supporter that, you know, conversates in the chat. Harsh Reality. Oh, nice to see you, Harsh Reality. Great work on your channel. Really love the content you're pushing out. It's great to see you here. Good job. Good job. So love it. Love it. So I appreciate you being in here. Sandy Beaches, nice to see you. Christy, Heather, it's nice to see you guys in here. Yes, Harsh Reality has a channel. Cotton Candy, nice to see you. Has a channel here on YouTube, does great content. If I'm not mistaken, I believe you're across the pond. I don't think you're from the USA. So great job in keeping us informed. You do really good. I love your content. I watch you often. So great job. Great job. Happy to see you guys all here. Molly Brown, lovely, Jolie. I love some of these names are so creative. Lulu, nice to see you. Nice to see you. Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, what actually inspired me to speak about JonBenét Ramsey? Why today, right? Why today? What is in the JonBenét case that sparks my curiosity? Well, it's kind of funny. As many of you guys know, my dear friend, Jonathan Lee Riches, a lot of you guys don't follow him on Facebook, but he has a lot of public posts. If you do follow him, you'll know that he's going to Denver. And he actually put out a post, and I'll go ahead and pull this up. And this is what actually sparked the thought, right? So he put up a post yesterday, last night, that said, going to see President Trump and Casper, Wyoming. No matter what your political beliefs are, we don't care here in the Bullhorn Betty channel, nor do we hate or whatever. I believe everybody has the right to choose. We are a liberty, type of channel. I don't care which way you go. So, don't knock people or hate people because of their political beliefs. This is just as to why I'm discussing this. So I just wanted to make sure I put that disclaimer out there to all of you. On May 28th, while I'm out there, I'm going to do some update reporting. And the very first thing he lists is JonBenét Ramsey, right? So this morning I'm up and I'm trying to decide, let's see what we got going on here. Oh, let's see. Heather, nice to see you. Nice to see you. Amber, Tennessee Rose, nice to see you guys all here in the chat this morning. It's just really great. So that was the very first case he indicated that he is going to be covering. And so it was just kind of funny. I remember reading that late last night before I decided to go to bed. And so this morning I was just, going through here, just seeing what's the true crime updates for today, right? And one of the first things that popped up was JonBenét Ramsey's father wanted outside agencies to test DNA. And I thought, wow, that's funny. How weird is it? 15 hours ago, Jonathan's posting about JonBenét Ramsey, possibly doing an update on the case because he's heading out of town. And then we hear Boston 25 News discussing that there is some changes in, there are some updates coming out in the JonBenét Ramsey case. The father wants to have the DNA, checked, and there's a lot of stuff going on just in the last 24 hours. And I thought that was awfully funny, what is going on in the JonBenét Ramsey case. When I was growing up, this was the case that terrified parents. It really was. This was the case. And then not to know, and what really screwed up this case from the beginning. And I'm going off just pure. I haven't read any of these articles yet. We're going to read them together. But I'm going off pure memory right now, pure memory. And one of the things that I remember about this case that stands out to me, now that I've gone to school, because I was a young kid when this case happened. And many of you guys know, I went to school and have an AA in paralegal studies. And one of the reasons that I am so interested in this case is because we learned, a lot of stuff about criminal defense. And we learned a lot about crime scene technique in association with that criminal defense. So the peculiar things that happened in this case, and a lot of cases changed and their protocols changed specifically because of the JonBenét Ramsey case. Because whenever she went missing, they had family, they had all these people inside their home when those people should have been removed. It contaminated that crime scene because JonBenét Ramsey was actually found dead inside their home. And so now that they have a contaminated crime scene, because these people sat in that house and moved about, because at first they thought it was just a missing person, an abduction. Because if we remember, there was a ransom letter left there prior to them discovering her. So they just thought this was a normal run of the mill child abduction that had a ransom because the father had just received a bonus or something to that effect from his job. So, this was a really interesting, I mean, it's a sad case, let me say that. But from a legal standpoint and a law enforcement standpoint, this is a very unique case. It has a lot of unique characteristics to it that prompted changes in protocols across the country related to how they handle missing people. And it did. So what had happened is because of the contamination, because of the people moving about, when they did finally find her, and I believe it was by their boiler room or inside it, I can't remember specifically. I'm sure we'll probably be reading about that. When they did find her, they had to clear the house. But by that time, there was already multiple DNAs of people that weren't even in the house at the time, which caused problems because, many of us know that it could have very well been somebody that was inside that home that was there trying to console the family or the family themselves. Many people, including myself, always thought it was the mother. It was determined, I think, obviously they expended a lot of expense. They went from living on the top of the world to losing almost everything because their daughter met her demise. But it was my understanding that the mom was finally cleared many years later. It took many years for the mother to finally be cleared. And again, a lot similar to the Summer Wells case in some parts, right? There are some nuances to this case that are different from the Summer Wells case. First of all, there wasn't reported drugs, alcohol, and massive violence in this home. That's one thing. There were some allegations that the mom, didn't always treat the daughter well. A lot of people don't realize there's a lot of stress on these children, these pageant children and their families and the moms. I mean, we watch those dance moms, they make a reality TV show out of dance moms and you see how crazy dance moms get. It was no different in the pageants, probably, if not worse, because there's real money for winning these competitions. I mean, a lot of money wrapped up in these competitions. There's a lot of money expended by the families that have their children in these competitions as well. So I still don't believe it was a stranger. I really don't either. I don't believe it was the father and the mom was cleared. I believe it was somebody close to the home because there is no way somebody would have been able to write that ransom note without knowing some really detailed information, because if I'm not correct, it was the exact amount of the father's bonus. So unless you truly knew the father or truly knew how much that father received as a bonus, which means it was somebody very close to that family, if not that family. This is just a weird case. So let's just go over some of the stuff of what's going on, what has transpired in the last, few hours in this case. Let me pull it back in. There we go. So we're just going to read here. So Denver, the father of JonBenét Ramsey is supporting an online petition asking the Colorado's governor to intervene in the investigation into her death more than 25 years ago. 25 years ago, by putting an outside agency in charge of DNA testing in this case. The 6-year-old was found in the basement of her family's home in Boulder on December 26, 1996. Bludgeoned and strangled. Several hours after her mom called 911 to say her daughter was missing and a ransom note had been left behind, her death was ruled a homicide, and nobody was ever prosecuted in this case. John Ramsey said he wants DNA evidence that was never tested before to be transferred away from Boulder police to a different agency. Somehow we've got to force the police or take it away from them. The ability to go ahead and test some of the crime scene evidence was never tested for DNA. That is astounding to me. That is astounding to me in this day and age, which with such a large case. This case reached around the world. Remember, our internet and computer system wasn't, the whole internet wasn't really developed until 1994. So this is 2 years after. And of course, the DNA, you needed a lot more DNA back in those days to make an actual DNA comparison. Now, with the amplification processes that they have for DNA, you can use smaller and smaller samples of that DNA and multiply that DNA sample to get a more accurate DNA result. And those are new, what's the word I'm using for, looking for here? My brain's dry, but new technology, so to speak. Our technology changes every year now, faster and faster, with the help of computers. And the science is always changing and always developing and always improving. And so you need less and less DNA sampling to provide a more accurate DNA profile. So to find out that 25 years later, in such a milestone case such as the JonBenét Ramsey case, it is a little alarming to have the revelation that they are just now starting to test some of that DNA in the case. How many people think that that's a little crazy? 25 years later, you would think as soon as DNA technology changes have happened, that they would have automatically started testing that DNA in those cases if evidence wasn't previously tested, right? So the petition notes that the advancement in DNA and the use of genetic genealogy is leading to solving more cold cases around the country. It criticizes the Boulder Police Department for not doing enough to use DNA to solve the case, noting that the department said at the time of the 25-year anniversary of JonBenét's death that it was actively reviewing genetic DNA testing processes to see if those could be applied to the case. In a statement, a spokesperson for Colorado Governor Jared Polis said, "The state will review the petition and look into how the case can assist in using new technology to further the investigation, to further investigate this cold case and to identify JonBenét Ramsey's killer." The statement did not address the involvement of Boulder police. Meanwhile, the Boulder Police Department said it has been working with state law enforcement agencies and the FBI on the investigation from the DNA, and that DNA from the case is regularly checked for new matches. But they're stating that there is some evidence that has never been tested. So if the evidence, from my understanding, has never been tested, that DNA profile can't be compared to other DNA profiles without having that profile, right? So let's keep moving on. Let's see what else we can find about here. As of December, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation has updated over 750 DNA samples from the investigation with the latest DNA technology, the department said in a statement. We have a shared goal to bring justice and hopefully some peace to JonBenét's family and everyone who was impacted by her loss. The police department was criticized for its initial handling of the investigation into the death of JonBenét, who had competed in beauty pageants. The details of the crime and video footage of JonBenét from the pageants propelled the case into the highest profile mystery in the United States, unleashing a series of true crime books and TV specials. While the district attorney at the time of JonBenét's death said her parents were under an umbrella of suspicion early on, tests in 2008 on newly discovered DNA on her clothing pointed to the involvement of an unexplained third party in her slaying and not her parents. So it was in 2008 that the parents were cleared. It sounds to me. It sounds to me. Or their son. So they were even checking that DNA against the son at the time. That led former district attorney Mary Lacy to clear the Ramseys of any involvement 2 years after Patsy Ramsey died of cancer, calling the couple victims of the crime. And I have to say, even in this case, I did believe that the mother had something to do with it. Unfortunately, that is a little different in the Summer Wells case. We have all these DNA technologies now. And at this point in time, I feel that if they were to be cleared, they would have been cleared early on in the investigation. Now, we talk a lot about the law of large numbers, statistically speaking, and, factors that cause me to believe certain aspects of certain cases. For example, the statistics state that a parent is more likely to injure their child than an abductor. The statistics state that a child is more likely to die in the hands of their parents than to be abducted and killed. Those are the statistics. Statistics show that the last person that saw you alive is more likely to be the one that harmed you than a stranger after the fact. That's statistics. Does that mean that those statistics don't have outliers? Of course they have outliers. This is a perfect case of what an outlier case looks like. But it still comes into play that somebody close to the family did this. And I think when this does get solved, if it does get solved, we are going to find out the perpetrator of this crime is closer to the family than we would like to think. And here is why. Because there is no way a stranger would have information about John's bonus that he received. Remember, the ransom note was left inside the home prior to them finding JonBenét Ramsey's body. So, track 3, they found, what does this say? Yeah, but they did test. I mean, in this article, they did test the DNA against the brother. They did test it. And the entire family in 2008 was cleared according to law enforcement. So I'm not sure. I mean, is it possible that they made a mistake? I guess it would be. In all fairness, think about the jealousy of another sibling. Could it have been jealousy? Absolutely. JonBenét Ramsey was adored by her family and obviously was the spotlight of that family. So, another sibling that's not getting the same attention as their younger sibling, it could be possible. It could be possible. Um, it was in the basement, but I believe it was by the boiler, if I remember, um, from years ago. They don't have, these are newer articles, so they don't have all the details that those older articles have. But I'm going to go through a couple more articles that have been published in the last 24 hours, and we're going to read them. I'm very interested in I hope Jonathan Lee Riches, aka JLR, I hope he does, go out there and cover this case, because he's asking on his Facebook, and you guys, you might want to go over to his Facebook and tell him to, please, 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 please cover this case. This case is very interesting. It's very intriguing from an investigative standpoint. It's very intriguing to me personally from a legal standpoint and a crime scene processing standpoint. This is definitely interesting, and to think 25 years later, and we have no more answers than we did back 25 years ago is a little scary. I mean, well, I guess we did, in 2008, they were able to finally clear the parents. And there's a lot of people that believe that Summer Wells' parents are innocent of these crimes. I am not one that does. Did I think, in my young years that the parents could have been involved in this case? You got to remember, I was 17 years old when this case happened. So, I've learned a lot and watched a lot since I was 17 years old. And I never went out there and talked to the people in and around the Ramsey family prior to me making an assumption that they were guilty. If I had been out there, had I talked to people and they told me how wonderful the family was and, all the things, would my thoughts have been different? Yeah, I believe they may have. I don't know. I automatically judged based upon the information I was reading online and through the media, or not online, but through the media and in the newspapers. That's where I was deriving my information from to formulate my opinion. I formulate my opinion much differently now that I'm in the true crime, area. I actually go out there and do fact finding and actually look into cases, whereas I was just reading, somebody else's opinion of the case and formulating my own opinion, which many people do across YouTube. Good morning, Queen Bish. Hey, Benny, how are you doing this morning, love? I hope you're doing well. Do you have anything to add to the JonBenét Ramsey case? And if you notice, I unblocked you so you could come in here and hang out with me. You're up awfully early this morning. You want me to turn my Google Voice number on so we can have a conversation about the JonBenét Ramsey case? Have you ever followed this case, Benny? Just curious. Would you like to, provide us your insight in this case? I mean, we don't get, famous people like BK in the chat these days, I'm kind of, all right. You going to be nice? Why not just bring you up? Let's see what he has to say. We don't get visits from BK very often. Well, I just dropped you the link. Come on up. When he gets in the back room, we'll bring him up. I'm interested in hearing his insight on this case. I should turn my volume on. There he is. Let's bring him up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Talking about a different case. What do you think about the JonBenét Ramsey case? What do you remember? You're around my age. We were young when this case came out.
I was. Actually, I'm 43.
I'm 42, so we were both around the same age.
I'm older than you, lady. Look at you. Actually, like the JonBenét Ramsey was the thing that like I cut my teeth on. Like that was the reason why I had an interest in true crime was because of the JonBenét Ramsey case. And looking at everything from, their depositions to private investigators and the like. There's a private investigator who is passed on. I'm sure you know of his name. I forget his name right now.
Oh yeah, no, I just happened to come across this. Jonathan was talking about covering it when he goes out to Denver. So I was looking into it and I thought maybe it'd be just a change, from Summer Wells and something. And then I saw all this stuff going off in the news in the last 24 hours. And I'm thinking, what's going on? So, I'm just going off pure memory, 17-year-old memory. I was 17 at the time when this went on. And so, but it was I remember some major details of the case, which is funny because I remember the contaminated crime scene, them allowing to have people in and out of that house, the Ramsey.
Fleet Jones and the neighbors.
Yep.
Yep.
And they were contaminating the crime scene. And I remember that when they did find her, the Boulder police had a lot of heat for that because they should have removed the people from the home when they
absolutely. Like he was allowed to remove her from the cellar, bring her upstairs, and then cover her with a blanket from the house, which was a nightmare forensically because that had all sorts of transference type forensics involved with it. So it literally was a nightmare once he covered her up with the blanket.
Yeah. And not only that, but even, they asked the family to help search for her in the home.
Absolutely. Which is something they should have never done.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. There was a high-tech boot print that was found in sort of a rough area in the floor in the cellar. And the high-tech boot was, as you know, more oftentimes than not worn by law enforcement officials. But she also had the taser. She had the taser bruising, which the spacing between the bruising was very, very. It was very tall tale sign of a taser. So the high-tech boot was something that they played into for a long time because it suggested someone outside of the house because there was no high-tech boot found in the home.
Right. And then with the taser, and if you equate, that boot with law enforcement and the taser, law enforcement was carrying, I don't know if they were carrying tasers back then or not.
That's a good question.
But this sparks my curiosity, and how do you feel about the fact that we're finding out that 25 years later, there's still DNA that has not been tested? That blows my mind.
Me too. So there was an issue when they tested her bottoms to her pajamas initially. There was a hit for a male DNA. And at that point, there was some questioning whether or not it was an offender or someone that could have handled her pajama bottoms at the factory where they were manufactured. Mm-hmm. So what I know they're trying to develop now is they're essentially waiting on the DNA technology to catch up, where they can enter in a roundabout way, enter in what they have into a database such as ancestry.com or whatever. But right now, the protocol for how much DNA you need to enter into the database is still lower than what they have.
Yeah. And I'm also curious because I don't recall them ever stating that there was that they believed that she was sexually assaulted. This was like basically she was bludgeoned to death.
They did say that there was some seminal fluid found on the scene.
I couldn't remember one way or the other. Yeah, that's sad.
I think that was a later report, though, Miss Betty. It wasn't like something they talked about initially. It wasn't until I want to say his name was Lou, but I don't want to butcher it. But he was hired by the Boulder DA to sort of circumvent the situation. He was a retired homicide detective out of some jurisdiction somewhere, but a world-renowned sort of Sherlockian type of mind when it comes to looking at these things. He actually believed in the intruder theory because there was some broken glass in the window. There was some, in his context, there was some debris from the outside that came in the window with a potential abductor. But there was the suitcase that was placed at the bottom of the windowsill, looking like some sort of, booster or a step stool, if you will.
Right. What do you think, in your, you cover a lot of these cases as well. What do you think about, there was a specific ransom. I know in this article I was just reading, I remember this from way back when, but the ransom note,
the 118,000,
was so specific to the father's bonus.
Absolutely.
That it makes, I just don't see how anybody outside of somebody that knew that family and knew that family well would have known to come up with that specific amount.
I agree. I mean, it was essentially to the dime how much his Christmas bonus for that year was. It was roughly $118,000.
Yeah. And that's just insanity to me, because that tells you that it's somebody in their close circle. And
I would have to agree with you.
Close circle was most likely in that house at that time, contaminating it.
Yeah, or at least, at the very least, privy to a financial conversation between the Ramseys, where that sort of information would be available to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she also made mention of a small foreign faction, and there was many, actually a lot of the FBI or the alphabet people. They thought that that it seemed staged, like like a movie type ransom.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't hold me to it, but I don't know of another high profile case where there's actually been a likened abduction to a ransom. Mm-hmm. We have not had a ransom type abduction in many, many years.
Many years, yeah. It's very, very uncommon. And when it is a so-called ransom, usually the person's already deceased.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct.
So it just doesn't make sense. Did you hear that a serial killer now has my address?
Is he already in prison, I hope?
Todd Colehep. Yep.
Oh, really?
Yep. Wrote me back.
No way.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. I have to tell you that's like something I've always thought about doing, like, creating a correspondence with killers, and I just have never actually taken the time to do it. So I applaud you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he wrote back. He's willing to talk to me. We went out there and covered the case in South Carolina. And so it sparked, because there's, he has a pilot's license and he had other property in different states. And it was alleged that there's more people out there. And so, I went on a search out in South Carolina. And
was he the guy that was doing the Amazon reviews on the tools, and he had the girl in the
yes.
cargo thing?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a real creep.
Yeah, and he wrote me back.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool, Andrea. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to correspond with him and see if I doubt he's gonna tell me anything, but hey, you never know. I mean, he did give me a little clue. Like, we were out there off of Sumner Road off of exit 41 on US 26, and he did indicate I've been there more than a few times.
Ooh, that's worth looking into, I'd say.
Yeah.
Anything that he's talking about is being repetitive. You'd have to look at it. Didn't he come out later on, and wasn't he He was also good for a cold case murder of a motorcycle
Yes,
shop
the
owner.
the motorbike shop murders.
Yeah.
4 people were shot and killed inside that, and he finally confessed in 2016 that he was responsible for all 4 of their deaths.
Yes, ma'am. So he's the real deal serial.
Yep,
Yep.
real deal. I hope
Well,
I hope he never escapes from prison.
Me either. Shit. If he gets out, give me a call and I'll come down there.
I called my mom and said, if I'm killed, it was Todd Colehep.
Yeah, like that guy. That you see that in a lot of serial killers. They'll put themselves out there in a way where they actually even say in some of the profiling that a lot of these, well, I shouldn't say a lot, a number of these offenders, they want to be caught.
Yeah, and he relishes. I mean,
Yeah,
even in this letter, he says that he just came off of 11-month. They took his privileges away for 11 months, and he finally got his attorney involved. And 6 weeks ago, he was able to get his privileges back because I wrote him this. Since I think I was out there in February, so it was around February, the end of February, when I wrote this, and he's just responding, and it's because they held my mail from him.
Oh wow.
And he finally got it, and he wrote me back. He said he's willing to interview with me on the phone and or by email, but he says that he believes that the reason why the jail is withholding him and striking his privileges is because they don't like the fact that he has friends and people that are interested in him.
Correct. I mean, I think that it's probably the same kind of dynamic with Don, like in terms of the correspondence while he's in confinement, there was a lot of talk early on, like, telling people to tell Don not to say how much money he had in his offender commissary, just so he wouldn't be targeted by people that work there. Yeah. Which yeah. I don't know if there's any validity to that at all, but I do identify it as a dynamic that you have to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. So how are you doing today? You're up awfully early this morning.
I have a dentist appointment. I have a nagging wisdom tooth that I've just been procrastinating on. And so I go in about 20 minutes and have it pulled out.
I hate teeth problems. I hate it. I've got a crown in the back. I have horrible molars because I grind my teeth at night, and I can't do mouth pain.
I've never, like 43, and I've had a 43-year-old life with no problems with the tooth, and then all of a sudden, the last month, that joker's been killing me. So
wisdom tooth. I had all my wisdom teeth taken. My face was blown up like the Michigan blimp.
Oh God, that's what I'm not wanting. I don't want that part.
I'm gonna tell you, if you got to be careful if they're pulling a wisdom tooth out, man. I'll give you some advice. You're not gonna like it.
Okay.
But you don't smoke because you can get dry socket, and that shit ain't no joke, man. That's
what everybody's been telling me, and that's like what I'm worried about more than anything is like.
I mean, even packing it with cotton and trying to smoke, man, don't do it. Go get yourself a patch. I mean, even the vape's not going to work. You can still get dry socket with the vape because it's the sucking that
pulls the clot.
Yep. And you don't want. I'm telling you, you think you have pain now? Get some dry socket. And you're going to wish you were dead. You're going to want to put a gun to your head and blow it off. I mean,
oh, God, I don't want that, Miss Betty.
It is excruciating. It is painful. Do yourself a favor. You're going to be grumpy as hell, but patch it up, man. Don't smoke that shit. I mean, even the weed.
Yeah, I need anything. Yeah, I'm going to be in big trouble here for a few days.
Yep. And it's just, just get through the couple days, sit on your hands, do whatever you need to do. I know it's going to be hard, but I mean, even straws, if drinking, you've got to drink out of the cup. You don't even use straws. The chances of you getting dry socket, depending on how much you smoke, it could be very quick, but I wouldn't even, because I'm telling you, once you get it, they got to pump fluid in there.
Oh, sheesh. I don't want that.
Yeah, it's no joke. It really isn't. So just heed some advice. I'm glad to see you playing nice this morning.
Well, I think that honestly, it's nothing more between any of us than just it's compassion fatigue. A lot of it. Yeah. We've been dealing with this for so long on our own, and then collectively, and it's really like, for me, it's sort of a breath of fresh air to know that somebody else wants to talk about something different. You know what I mean? Like, and I applaud you for, having that about yourself, to go away from the pack, right? Like, that's a beautiful thing.
Yep. And also just getting back to Summer Wells. I don't know if you heard, I'm sure you have, because you got your minions in here, just like I got my minions on you. We're going to be doing a candlelight, no matter what happens in the case. We were hearing all this stuff on YouTube about Brandis and all this other stuff, but no matter what happens on the case, we are doing a candlelight vigil for
a scandal light vigil.
Yeah.
I don't mean for you. I mean, there's a Wells scandal light vigil.
Yeah, we're going to do it at the Hawkins County Sheriff on June 15th. It's probably going to be from 7 to 9. It's a no BS. I don't want anybody bringing any drama to it. It's literally for Summer Wells. I want all the creators, to put their petty BS aside and come together for one day, for a couple hours, for the benefit of Summer Wells. And, even if, Candace and Grandis come out there, I want them to feel comfortable being there. I don't want anybody attacking them or anything like that. It's truly, this is truly for Summer Wells, and only Summer Wells, where we just honor her and her memory for a couple hours on June 15th, which is the 1-year milestone of her disappearance. And just want to, offer that to you and your crew as well.
Absolutely. I think, in fact, some of us were actually even planning on being there on the 15th if there wasn't a change by then.
Yeah. And so I thought that it would be really nice being in front of the law enforcement sheriff's office. One, it's a public place. Two, we want to let them know that we support them and we want them to do better, and that we want them to see, like, I would love nothing more than to have that whole parking lot filled with people with candles, just for the impact purposes. So, it's all to honor Summer. I don't want any nasty signs out there. I don't want any petty squabbles. I just want everybody to come together for the sake of Summer.
That's a great idea, Miss Betty. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. So just let your people know, I want to make sure, if you're, you've done a lot on this case. I know we've had opposing views, and, you and I kind of pull each other's pigtails here and there, but would like to make sure that you're afforded the opportunity. I want to personally invite you. And
thank you, Miss. Thank you, Miss Andrew. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. So I appreciate your insight on JonBenét Ramsey. Is there any other things that you can think of related to this case that's important?
Not right off the top, but I would say that if you had an open forum about Ramsey, I would love to come over and speak with you. I know quite a lot right off the top, and I think it would be a beautiful conversation for the community.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's very, and like I said, there's just a lot of things that it's just mind blowing that 25 years, like, I think after 25 years and all the great advances in DNA processing and stuff like that, like, there should not be a stitch of DNA from the JonBenét Ramsey case that has not yet been tested. And to find out that there's still stuff untested in her case is just, for me personally, totally mind blowing.
It's devastating, because also the lead detective lady, she claims to know. She says she knows who did it. She just can't say.
Yeah. Well, they need to be behind bars so they can never hurt another person again.
Whoever did it, yep, they need to be locked up.
Yep, for sure, for sure. Well, I appreciate you coming by, and
thank you for having me, madam.
Guys, and appreciate being able to have a conversation.
Yes, ma'am. I look forward to the next one.
All right, you take care.
God bless.
God bless you too. So, Benny Keys, nice to hear from you this morning. Quite a surprise. And, again, creators can have opposing viewpoints and not attack each other from daylight to dark. So appreciate that. Good conversation. And we're coming to the top of the hour, guys. So we are going to finish with Benny Keys. Thank you. I've got to get ready. I got to clean up. My aunt's coming. So I can't have her see my clothes, my packing up, because I'm leaving tomorrow. So I got to move everything into my bedroom and shut the door, right? We're kids to them no matter how old we get, folks. That's just all there is to it. I'm still her niece, and no matter how old I get, I'll still be her baby niece, So anyways, guys, I love each and every one of you. You guys are beautiful people. Go out and make it a great day. And please go out and be good stewards of your community and do something productive. Help a stranger that you have not, that you get nothing for. Do acts of kindness today. That will be what we would like to promote this Tuesday, as everybody go out there and do one good act of kindness to a perfect stranger. I love each and every one of you. Go make it a great day. Rock it out and be fearless.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.